So we're here today with Melissa from Out Entry. Melissa's got a really cool story about how she went from sort of sales and marketing and everything in between with Stonegate, right through to owning her own business in today's market. Why she decided to move into that, we will find out. So Melissa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No worries at all. A bit of a unique surrounding we are here today. Guys, but this isn't your venue, is it?
No, it's not mine, unfortunately, no.
Right, okay. So we are actually up in the lovely BA I360 here in Brighton, and as we go up, we're going to see everything, well, the whole of Brighton, really. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty
really
cool.
excited.
So, Melissa, let's get straight into it.
Yep.
What brings us here today?
So obviously I've seen some sort of podcasts from Brad on LinkedIn, and I just thought it was a really great idea. I thought that actually you guys getting out and showcasing hospitality, women in business is really empowering. And I know you don't just focus on obviously girls in business or women in business, but that late night piece, hospitality, and startups and just business in general is really exciting.
Cool.
So,
what made you get into the kind of nightlife? Let's go right back to the beginning. So, as I said at the start, you're involved in sales with Stonegate. Is that right?
That's it. So, my sort of career actually started strangely. I studied crime policing with law at university, and then my partner's actually a general manager and has been for sort of 16 years. And I got into the kind of state where I was doing recruitment and sales, and I just saw all the fun that everyone was having, or the sort of perceived fun of late night. And that's when I got approached by Stonegate and started off as a sales manager. And it's gone from strength to strength, if I'm really honest.
And what sort of led you full circle into owning your own business? I mean, that's quite a scary jump, I suppose.
Yeah.
How long into the process did you think, right, I want to own my own business?
Yeah, I think always from a young age, I've always been interested in business, and not just the money side, although that's a really big factor and a kind of driving force is that kind of ownership of having your own thing and feeling empowered, and kind of when you create something from nothing, it's a really good feeling. So that's why I did it, really.
Talk to me a little bit about what Out Entry is.
Yeah, cool. So Out Entry is basically a boutique event organiser.
Yeah.
We specialise in hens, stags and groups. So anything from a night out with a cocktail masterclass, really pioneering that late night piece. It's really important. I think late nights, sometimes gets a bit of a bad rap. So that's a massive focus all the way through to events, things like you can do a wedding on the I360. It's a massive, event space for all sorts of things. So a real mixture of what we do. What's
your kind of process then in, I suppose, approaching people for their nights out? So, dare I say, there's quite a lot of competition being in Brighton. We're quite a little bit more up now.
Yeah, preview.
Yeah. So what's that been like? Have you had much pushback from others in the industry?
Yes and no. I'm actually really grateful with the support that I've had. A massive mention to Deltic. They were one of the first groups that kind of supported me and took me on board and said, actually, we're happy for you to sell our cocktail masterclasses, guest list. They've been fantastic and really instrumental. So no, I've been really fortunate. I haven't had that pushback. I think I've got really good contacts, but equally people people want people to succeed, which has been amazing. So
how do you kind of approach your network within it then?
So from the supplier point of view, so anything, so business development's a massive driver. Going out and I love a business card on a networking event. Sales managers on LinkedIn, I have to say, are massively, from where I started sort of 7-8 years ago to where sales managers are now, they are so much more active on social media, specifically LinkedIn. So approaching these guys and saying, I'd love to work with you and sell your activities or packages.
Would you say it's about sort of leveraging that sort of LinkedIn for business and kind of making sure that people are seeing you and you're kind of putting content out there, liking, sharing,
100%.
Creating?
I think 100%, and it's really about that personal brand as well, and people seeing what I'm up to, and the successes and the falls as well. I think
let's go into that quickly. What would you say for any budding entrepreneurs out there? What would you say the kind of advice would you say in terms of not getting as much failure, not getting as much failure, but learning from other people's mistakes. What would you say some of your failures have been?
Yeah, well, I've had quite a few. I've done, just one example, I did a booking where actually it cost me £150 to send a group out on their activity because I'd messed up the maths, which I'd argue.
This is water, by the way. They're very sort of conscious on plastic up here. So this is water. I know it's 10 o'clock and this is the nightlife industry, but this is water.
Mine's vodka.
Okay.
So yeah, I think people have been, as I say, been really supportive, but the main focus, I forgot the question you asked, sorry.
It was just in regards to failures.
So yeah, as I say, I've had quite a few, and I think it's about sharing those failures with people as well, not hiding them away, but it's really important that you focus on yourself. I think when I started out, I kind of expected everyone to get me to where I've got to, and that sounds really silly, but you kind of go, oh well, these people will do this, or my friends will share this, and actually I get more support, and this is not a dig to my friends, but I get more support from other people in business, other entrepreneurs and other businesses than I probably do my family and friends.
Well, because your friends are your friends. They don't necessarily understand business. They're always going to be there no matter what. They're saying, okay, cool, go for it, don't go for it, we'll still be your friends.
Exactly.
Whereas you need that kind of outside network to kind of branch out to give you a bit of direction.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of sort of entrepreneurship. We can talk a bit later. After that. So sort of coming back to nightlife.
Yeah.
Where do you sort of see it at the moment as an industry in this economy, maybe times of uncertainty? What's your kind of personal take on it?
I think it's tough. I don't think it's easy out there at the moment, but I think there's massive opportunity to innovate. I think there's business out there that are absolutely storming ahead with success through passion through their people. So I think that's as Out grows, it's going to be a real focus is getting the right people on board. And I think like any business, if you've got those people, you can be really successful. And it's about nurturing them and making them feel valued. And I think not just people, but also that innovative piece is going out there and being successful, but trying something new and being brave rather than just sort of sticking to the status quo, which I think is quite easy to do in late night. Open the doors, that old mentality, open the doors, they'll come. We need to steer away from that because it's too competitive at the moment.
Okay, so how would you sort of differentiate yourself from others doing that then?
With Out, it's a massive focus on my personal brand. It's all about social media. I think there's a lot of people, without giving away my sort of secret tips, I think there's a lot of the kind of old boys or old kind of network within the sort of event side, and
still
a little bit. I would argue just a little bit.
Okay.
And for me, it's about personal brand. It's about people feeling like they're getting that special treatment. And I'm not just saying this on camera. Every one of my customers, they can phone me at 3 o'clock in the morning, which naturally hens do because they get a little bit, silly and crazy.
I've lost Tina. I don't know where she is.
And that's happened more than once.
Really?
And,
Can you get my mate, please?
And stags as well. They want a good night, and there's that kind of fear factor of there's 20 lads turning up, they're going to be knocked back, and
that's a good point.
It's about building that relationship.
So at that point, then, do you give a call into the venue manager and say, look, I've got 20 lads coming down. They are a stag do at the end of the day. You're kind of setting that expectation for the venue rather than them go to you, never again, because they caused havoc. Yeah,
exactly. And people will be people, and sometimes they misbehave, and I wouldn't want to be a GM for all the love in the world, and they have a really difficult job, but equally those people they're relying on me to make their night a success. Now the way that Out works, we pre-book everything, sometimes 6, 8, 9, 10 months in advance. I've got hens and stag groups for 2021. It's. Oh, sorry.
No, that's brilliant.
It's about that relationship and making sure that they know, dropping them an occasional email just saying everything okay, here's your event documents, this is where we're at.
It's about the client. I mean, my kind of role within Licklist is looking after venues and making sure, we're doing our job correctly, and, people, our clients are watching this, that I'm always there for you. No one ever comes back to a business based on that first sale. It's always about the after sale and the afterthought. So it is about client management, and it is about making sure that we stay on top of things as the business grows as well. So it's good that you understand that aspect of it, rather than open your doors, let everyone come and join you and you use them. Or they use your services. and then it's like, okay, now what? What do we do now? You don't know how to manage them, so it's good that you've got that expectation out there. With where your business is, and obviously the location, what do you offer than maybe a standard stag and hen do package or a group package?
So it's a real mixture actually, and surprisingly more popular is something called stens, which is a stag and hen.
Stens?
Yeah, so it's...
Oh, please don't tell me it's them joining together.
Yeah, so it's a combined thing.
I don't mean to turn my nose up here, like just come on, just have separation at some point. I mean... It's
very, there's...
Is it more common now?
Yeah, it's become more and more popular, and also stens where hens have got lots of group lads, and actually I've organised hens where there's been one lady who's the hen, but everyone else has been men. So that's always
read into that what you will.
yeah, exactly. I won't say anything on that.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's a real mixture. The most popular I'd say is still cocktail masterclasses, and venues are really innovating on that kind of piece and how to make it more creative. Gin masterclasses coming out. We've got one with the Copper Rooms based in Brighton actually, and they do a Coyote Ugly sort of topless butler in the buff sort of mixture of a cocktail masterclass, which is, I watched it the other week, it's fantastic. So there's a real mixture, but the average price for a hen is absolutely eye-watering. I try and do it as a budget because I think it's important that people can have that great experience, but the average UK hen price is about £300 for a weekend, so
per person.
Per person, yeah, including accommodation. So
is it? And do you try and have as much relationship across the UK?
Yeah.
I don't want to say I know because you're based in Brighton.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily pigeonholing the business into Brighton. Are you UK based?
We are. So we're UK based, and we've really exciting sort of milestone for Out is I've just got my bond for Atoll and Abta, which is massive. So I can now do travel packages, which means I can send groups to Europe and further afield, but I'm trying not to bite off more than I can chew at the moment. So, but yeah, UK based, anywhere up to York, Leeds, Liverpool, which are really top hen destinations at the moment, over to Bristol, Cardiff, all the way down to Brighton.
Are hens your sort of bread and butter? Is that your number one, and then kind of rank it in what you get, I guess? Yeah.
So hens, although they're actually harder to organise because they want to know the nuts and bolts of absolutely everything. Where's Tina sleeping at 2:00 in the morning, all the way through to sort of what time's breakfast and what can they be late by a minute? It's quite tricky. But hens at the moment, I think Out as a brand, I've tried to make it quite gender neutral, but hens definitely. Stags, yes. We're in talks with stags, but they tend to sort of kind of the DIY attitude. You probably know as a bloke, you want to do your own thing and you'll make it work. Whereas girls,
God forbid a woman should tell me where to go on my stag. Do you get that?
Weirdly, I think and probably from an arrogant point of view, I'm quite good at sort of changing up how I speak. So this is my posh voice. And then, but if I'm speaking to some lads, I had a gentleman that wanted strip club, and I was just like, they're great girls. What do you say? How do you describe that? So. I think they just take my word for it really, but
brilliant. Okay, and now with regards to, we sort of spoke on off camera. You said you come from the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Do you get interest in that sense? Do you get people from that community following you and kind of looking up to you? Not only from a business standpoint, I suppose, but also as someone who's kind of championing their own thing within the industry. Yeah,
I think there's a massive support network within that piece. The LGBTQ plus community. It's all right. It's getting ever longer. So even I forget bits.
Yeah. When did they bring that out? 2 weeks ago?
I don't know. But yeah, it's there is a massive community. The Pink Pound is a very big amount of money. Generally, although it's more common, people don't have children, so they have a higher disposable income, and surpass a lot of sort of expectations from a work point of view. There's this kind of big sort of push to succeed. Not that isn't in the maybe scrap that bit, but
straight community.
Straight community.
No, I know what you mean, because
it's always difficult. But
because it's to prove.
Yeah.
Just because I am X, I can do this and all the rest of it. Yeah. But it's only about the limiting beliefs you put on yourself.
Yeah.
For me personally, it doesn't make a difference in business whether you're gay, straight, black, orange, whatever, you know, buy this and buy that. If you can put figures on the board, and if you can do well at your job, and if you're respected by your peers, and if you can perform, I personally don't think anything matters.
100%, and I think that's more and more popular. You know, I came out sort of 10 years ago, and even now you can walk down the street and hold your partner's hand or whatever. Whereas, and I will honestly say this,
depending on the area, because people still have.
There is still that mentality, which is a little bit scary. You know, I have a bit of a weird background, and tell me if I'm going off on a tangent, but I sort of was brought up as a Mormon, which was a really weird kind of, not weird, but very religiously.
I know about only through what documentaries I've seen.
So yeah, I didn't have 7 wives, but you know, damn it. But you know, I was brought up really religiously. I was an absolute nightmare child at school. You know, and I've kind of always had that. I've put it on my LinkedIn post where I teach, like, you know, you'll make nothing of yourself, and there's always been that, you know, inside kind of want to succeed, and you know, I make a million mistakes on a regular basis, but I want to succeed and I want to give it a go. So
where would you say then the next couple of years goes for yourself in Out Enter?
So as I say, it's a massive milestone getting the ABTA and ATOLs, being able to do Europe. I've just got a CRM that I can now manage, because everything's been done on Excel up until this point, which is quite stressful. So really, I think the world's my oyster. I'd like to have staff, but I don't want to be, you know, a huge.
Is it just you?
Just me at the
moment.
You're
the sales, you're the marketing.
Everything, yeah.
It's amazing.
So yeah, it's just me at the moment. But yeah, I want to get to a stage where I'd have 2 or 3 staff. I'll hold my hands up. There's probably people watching this that were managed by me. I'm probably not a manager of people. I'm definitely more of a, you know, salesperson and customer relations. But yeah, from managing people, it's hard work.
But that's good that you've got the self-awareness for that.
Yeah.
Because some people, you know, you could be an amazing salesperson, but not necessarily a business person, or a great business person, but you're not the best at selling.
Yeah.
So at that point, then you start to hire out, branch out, you know, focus on your strengths, pay someone for your weaknesses.
Yeah.
So then you're not necessarily wasting too much time.
Yeah, and 100%. Yeah.
I think So with your relationship that you had with Stonegate before, working with them for how many years?
So I was with Stonegate for just over 2 years, nearly 3 actually.
Oh, okay. So in that time, do you still keep in contact with those people to network, and have they kind of given you some doors in, I suppose? With
so there's some differences actually. So Stonegate, so I started off with Entertain, and there was someone that actually really, and I'll say their name because they're such an incredibly phenomenal woman that I probably base a lot of my kind of decisions on. And they probably don't even realise, but a lady called Michelle Farrell, who was really kind of just really inspirational. So she was head of marketing at Stonegate or Entertain, and then moved over to Novus Leisure as head of marketing there, and I think she's now got another role. But so I learned a lot with Stonegate and Entertain more specifically, because they were a closer business. They had like 40 odd sites before they sold to Stonegate, and then I was only with Stonegate for about 4 or 5 months before I left to Eclectic.
And then what's the kind of driving force behind Out Enter? What was kind of, I know you obviously mentioned before that you've got opportunity to go into Europe and beyond, but you want to kind of focus on the UK, so master that first.
Yeah.
What's the kind of driving force behind it? Like why are you doing it?
I think I kind of got to a stage where I was at Eclectic, and I've always wanted to have my own business. I've always wanted to say that I can, and I know it sounds really arrogant and kind of, you know, very egotistical, but I wanted to be successful. I've always wanted to say...
There's nothing arrogant or egotistical. Don't ever put yourself down like that, you know, ever. If you want to have a business, there is nothing, you know, it's more of a hindrance to not be like that. If there were more people with more drive and ambition in the country, in the world, we would be in a better place. So don't ever settle for that.
Yeah, true. I kind of just got to a stage, I was commuting to London, my role had changed from being, you know, out and about to being in an office. So I was in effect, and everyone described it, I was like a caged animal. You know, I literally was. I'm not an office person. I love being out and about. You know, I love meeting people. I love networking. As I say, management probably wasn't my strong point, which is where I would arguably say, and I'll be really honest, failed in my role. But you know, my role changed. So I was commuting to London every day, which was like 2 hours there in the morning, 2 hours back, sometimes 3 if the trains were bad. And I kind of just said, what am I doing? You know, I'm 30 next year. I want to be someone. And for my, you know, to prove the teachers wrong, to prove anyone that's kind of ever doubted, and now I'm further in my journey, I would argue that actually I'm now doing it for myself. It's a selfish thing, but certainly when I started, it was all about, I want to prove this person wrong, or I want to do this so I can tell that person. So.
And then events has always interested you? Is it something that a bit of a passion? Because you said, before you came from a Mormon background.
Yeah.
So it's not like you had a desire to kind of go out and get on it from a young age.
No. So yeah, the event side, I was senior sales manager for 6 on Broad Street in Birmingham, which previously Barisa, and now it's Rosie's, owned by Stonegate. And I just there was nothing better than a Friday night getting your glad rags on, doing your makeup, and being on that front door and giving it large. Like, I loved it. I really did. I know it sounds bad, but I just, people would come up to the door and speak to the general manager, who at the time was actually my partner, and be like, oh, it's Melin. And they'd be like, well, I can help you. No, it's Melin. Because I just loved that. I loved it. Yeah. So yeah, I fell in love with it.
Was that more of a power thing?
No, weirdly, I don't actually think it was. I think it was really, I just liked being the girl in the know. I'm one of those people that like to be liked. I know people do, but probably I have it to an extreme. Like, I worry about what people think and how they react and how they take things more than probably anyone will ever know. And I just liked being liked. I was like, I'll do a deal on bottles. And
how will you cope with that though in business? Because you can't let the emotion get to you.
Yeah, that's what's actually weirdly one thing that I'm proper struggling with, because I had a customer the other week. They went out and things didn't quite go to plan. Like, it was half an hour late for their dinner, and then we had the butler in the buff, blah blah blah, and it kind of, it really hurt. He
wasn't so buff?
No, pardon?
And he wasn't so buff?
No, he wasn't.
It was just Mick doing the double shift on the cabs.
Do it with the beard on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really hurt me. So I take things really personally, and and I have always. It's been my biggest downfall, is that I take things really to heart, and I need to learn that. Like I said earlier, I mentioned, I listen to Steve Bartlett's podcast, and he talks a lot about being in control of your emotions, and I'm not a lot of the time, but I'm trying to. I'm definitely a lot better than I was.
That in anything comes with experience. Yeah. With as long as you don't let things affect you too much, because being an entrepreneur. Yeah. Listen, you're going to have to not get emotional, because really and truly in the next couple of years, it could succeed, it could not, but I think that's the life of an entrepreneur. Yeah. So in terms of being an entrepreneur, obviously, you're going to have to try and take the emotion out a little bit. Yeah, 100%. Just because otherwise it can get the better of you. Because if things go, to pot, then, the good thing about entrepreneurship, from what I understand of it, I'm not an entrepreneur by any means, but I follow a lot of people who are. Yeah. It's everything's on you. Yeah. Whether you do well, it's on you. Whether you do bad, it is on you. Yeah. But it's trying to have the capability and the intellect to detach the emotion from that. Yeah. Is what's going to allow you to kind of go to that next step. Yeah,
100%. And it's hard, but it is hard.
Yeah, of course. How do you see with nightlife? I know you kind of said it's a good industry to be in. It's a positive industry to be in.
100%. Yeah.
What would your take be on where it's going as a whole?
Yeah. I think it's hard. I think, as I said earlier, it's about innovating, and that's a huge point. But we need to encourage people to be in this industry. And I think that it's, you go abroad to Europe, and it's, it's a privilege to waiter. It's a privilege to be a mixologist.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and you watch how passionate these people are about their jobs. Whereas I think, sadly, sometimes in the UK, even though we've got phenomenally talented people that work within hospitality, these general managers are entrepreneurs. Yes, they might not be getting the money at the end of the day, but they are entrepreneurs. They work hard. They get people into those doors through any means necessary, or the majority anyway. But it kind of, for me, it pains me when I see members of bar staff being like, oh, it's just to get me by, or it's kind of like, oh, it's a low end, dead end job, And I'll be really honest and frank. My mum, when I started dating my partner, who's a club manager, was like, oh, you're dating a pub manager. And Leah, as I say, my partner, rightly said, actually, I run a multi-million-pound business, kind of in a nice way, of course, but
take that.
Yeah, take that. And it really is. It's a multi-million-pound industry. It's I can't remember all the facts and figures, but it's a huge part of our economy.
Is this different? Are you referring to corporates and independents or collectively?
Collectively, I think, it's a huge thing. I think people that work with independents probably take a little bit more pride, and it really does matter who your boss is. It goes back to that whole people thing. My previous boss, we had some cross words, and we had a very kind of emotional relationship, but he's a phenomenally aspirational man and inspirational all in one, and I think whoever you're working for, they will give you that sort of fire in your belly to want to succeed, hopefully.
And if you can't find it, you need to get it in you.
100%, yeah. And it's that kind of saying, it like, as I say, my old boss used to say, that will do, will not do. And actually, when I worked for the company, it really used to frustrate me. So I was like, how dare you? But it's so true, is that will do, will not do. And you've got to do it. You've got to make it work. So, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, look, I really do appreciate your time. I know obviously you're very busy running a business and getting it to where it needs to be. I want to make sure that we come back in a year from now and we see how well you've done.
Hopefully.
So, Melissa, I360, thank you very much.
Thank you.